May my life be a song. May my song feed the earth. I believe that I belong to the earth. I belong. May my life be a song. May my song feed the earth. I believe that I belong to the earth. I belong. May my life be a song. May my song feed the earth. I believe that I belong to the earth. I belong. May my life be a song. May my song feed the earth. I believe that I belong to the earth. I belong. May my life be a song. May my song feed the earth. I believe that I belong to the earth. I belong. May my life be a song. May my song feed the earth. I believe that I belong to the earth. I belong. May my life be a song. May my song feed the earth. I believe that I belong to the earth. I belong. May my life be a song. May my song feed the earth. We rise, humbly-hearted rise, won't be divided, rise, with spirit to guide us, rise, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. And we rise, all of the children rise, elders with wisdom rise, ancestors surround us, rise, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here. In hope, in prayer, we're right here.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Acknowledging Global Grief. I'm going to ask us to just start by taking 3 deep breaths wherever you are. Let's breathe out together. Breathe in and out. And in and out. One more, however it feels good, subtle or dramatic, breathing in and breathing out. Thank you all for being here with us in this way. I'm reading through the poll that many of you answered as you entered, and our feelings are in many, many places. And a lot of you are also saying that you're reaching for spiritual practice. And that is what we're here to do as we tend the unfathomable grief that we're holding right now. So I want to say my name is Willow. I'm here as your host and co-facilitator today. And I want to tell you a couple of logistics before we dive into our practice together. Our wonderful Wild Heart team is in the chat, Monica, Denise, and Rosa. And the chat will not be ongoing so that we don't overwhelm ourselves. But if you ever have a question, you can message them directly. And we'll be moving through a couple of different practices. Mirabai will be leading writing practice. So if you have your writing materials, make sure that they're close by, either something to write on or a document. And we'll move through song, writing, and then we'll have a section of Q&R, question and response, and just a debrief near the end. So we're here to grieve together. This is what we do, and this is what we're here to do with all of you. With all of the violence that is happening, we felt the need to offer a place to bring that side by side together. So whatever you are holding today, it's welcome here in this space. There's so much generational trauma and unhealed wounds and pain and fresh grief that's here, and we welcome it. I know actually, so many of us are feeling it viscerally in our bodies and whatever we know consciously or unconsciously. And there's a breaking open of the heart, of our personal hearts and our collective hearts. And I really believe that that speaks to our humanity, that our heart is breaking, and we're here to give it the time of day. You know, so often it feels like we have to continue to go about our day and show up and take action. And this is a place where we can spend an hour and a half holding the brokenness and sorting through it enough to breathe a little bit more, a little more deeply. And there's so many flavors of this grief right now, you know? Some of us are personally connected to deaths that are happening right now in Palestine and Israel. Some of us are connected to those communities directly. Personal losses. Some of us recognize the face of our children or our family or our friends in so many of the images we're seeing now. We might feel it in our relationships, so much tension and grief of the loss and potential loss in our relationships too. So all of that is welcome here. All of it is welcome here. One of my greatest teachers, Pir Murshid Hazrat Inayat Khan, who is a beautiful Sufi master and a great teacher of mine, he says, "O thou, O peacemaker, before trying to make peace throughout the world, first make peace within thyself." And I think it's both. And also here in this time where we're tending to our own heart. So may this time resource us, and may there be a spark of creativity. You know, that's also what we're here to offer as Wild Heart, is a place to ignite our own creativity as we navigate the waters of grief. I asked you to bring an object for each of the elements, and If you haven't already, I'm just going to invite us briefly at the beginning to set them out in front of you so that you know that there is many energies holding this with us. So first, the element of earth, whatever that might be for you. Asking the earth to strengthen and fortify and support us in this process. And we all have our own relationships to the elements. So however you might relate to the earth as we move through this time. And water, this element of motion, of movement, of washing. May it be here to help us move through whatever arises today. The element of fire, this igniting force of action and inspiration and heat, that it may spark us. And the element of air, that we may remember the breath that connects every being and feel that breath in our own bodies, giving us strength and presence to hold all that arises. Okay. Mirabai, please come offer us a settling.
Thank you, Willow. So beautifully opened. Everything you said just goes straight to my heart. So welcome, friends. Thank you for bringing your pain and all of you, whatever. I'm not going to put words on what you're feeling. Thank you for bringing what is real to this refuge today. We welcome you. And I'd like to begin by doing another further little settling. I'm going to ring this bell, and then I'm going to read you a prayer that I wrote many years ago from this book, Mother of God, Similar to Fire. And we'll read it as a Lectio Divina, that is a contemplative reading. That's why I'm going to ring the bell to begin and to end the reading of the prayer. So I invite you to settle a little bit more into your bodies and into this moment, and really allow this time together to be a true space of refuge, a sanctuary for your heart. The prayer is called Mother of God, she who hears the cries of the world. She who hears the cries of the world. And this is also a name for Kuan Yin in the Chinese Buddhist tradition, as well as a name for Mother Mary. Mother of mercy, the cries of the world keep me awake at night. I rise from my bed, but I cannot locate the source of the wailing. It is everywhere, Mother, coming from all directions, and my heart is shattered by the sheer intensity of suffering. You of boundless compassion, expand my heart so that I can contain the pain Focus my mind so that I can arrive at viable solutions. And energize my body so that I can engage in effective action. Give me the courage to follow the crumbs of heartbreak all the way home to the place where I can be of real service. Let me dip my fingers into the dew of your compassion and scatter it now over the fevered brow of this world. Amen. So, my friends, we're mostly going to be doing practice together, but I also would like to just offer a few words of orientation as to why Willow and I and our beautiful team opted to show up in this way at this time. You know, we felt we couldn't be silent in the face of such global suffering and such collective grieving. Not that we would be anyway, we're quite vocal, but this is what we do, as Willow said. We hold space for grief as a spiritual path, as a spiritual practice, as a spiritual reality. And that reality is centered in the space of the heart. And the heart is not a fluffy, calm, well-behaved space most of the time. It is a wild space. And therefore, our heart responses to the realities unfolding in the world are wild and ever-changing and growing and expanding and bringing our minds along with them, and sometimes contracting, and that too is all right. So as a Jewish woman, an American, white, I feel that I cannot be silent in the face of the atrocities being committed, sometimes in my name, that is, in the name of my heritage of belonging to the Jewish people. And so I want to just share a couple of core values of Judaism that I grew up with, that I think drive most of the Jews I know who are not represented by the Israeli government at this time. We are a diaspora people. That is, we have almost always lived in exile and had to find our way in this world. We have almost always been a people that has been mistrusted and targeted for extermination. And so we know better. We know in our bones what it says in the Torah, what Christians call the Old Testament, again and again and again. You shall not oppress the stranger, for you were a stranger in Egypt. And our entire kind of identity as a people is formed around escaping bondage in Egypt and finding freedom, liberation. But you know, as our friend Rabbi Michael Lerner says, that the traumatized Jewish people of Eastern Europe, who were exiled to Eastern Europe from the Holy Land originally, eventually, that after the Holocaust, the Jews jumped out of the burning buildings of Europe and landed on the backs of the Palestinians. And so we acknowledge the trauma, as Willow pointed out, in all directions, that is driving unspeakable acts of violence that defy the humanity of everyone, our own humanity and the humanity of those we deem other. And so as we grieve together, we dare to reclaim our own humanity and the humanity of all beings. The core Jewish values of justice for all beings, of welcoming and not oppressing the other, are the reason that I'm stepping up and speaking up now against the unspeakable atrocities being committed in my name. The other Jewish value I want to bring up before we go into the next stage of our practice today this is in addition to the prophetic value, which is really what I'm talking about, the prophetic value of speaking out against injustice and putting our bodies into that game, into that reality. So in addition to the prophetic aspect of Judaism, the justice aspect that is built in and that I grew up with so strongly with anti-war activist parents in the 1960s, is the willingness to ask questions. That's also essential, woven into the Jewish identity, to be willing to engage in inquiry, to wrestle, like Jacob did with the angel, which is where Jacob received the name Israel. He who struggled, who wrestled. In Islam, it's called jihad, which is a word that has been horribly co-opted by the media to only mean some kind of holy war externally. But the true meaning of jihad is that inner striving to align ourselves with the divine. And that's what Jacob was doing when he was renamed Israel. And that's what, as a people, we must always do, is continue to ask questions, which means we have to be willing to not know. We're also a know-it-all people. So how do we come back to zero, to that humble stance of, I do not know, God, what to do. Show us the way. Bring me back to my heart and my humanity. Let me be, as St. Francis of Assisi called, an instrument of peace. And so finally, I want to just acknowledge that I, Mirabai, carry in my own heart at least three, but for today, 3 distinct and equally vibrant and alive wisdom streams. My ancestral Judaism, my adopted love of Islam, particularly the mystical expression of Islam, Sufism, and Christianity. The Christian mystics have guided my path for a long, long time and have led me to a deep love of Christ. And each of these 3 wisdom streams is coming together in a mighty confluence in my heart today. And I, for one, am not going to turn away from the pain. I am going to, as my friend Stephen Levine said, keep my heart open in hell. I think that's enough for me. So Willow has her first song for us now.
Thank you so much, Mirabai.
You're welcome.
Such deeply beautiful, important words.
Thank you.
So just like Mirabai was saying, this ability to keep our heart open in hell. This is the first song I'm going to share, which I just learned the other day, actually, and it felt so potent. And it's written by Alexis Sunshine Rose. The words are, help me open my heart so I can hold all that I need to hold. And then we'll swap out the word hold for feel, know, and heal. And as I'm speaking, I actually feel this in my throat. So I'm going to invite us to just, if it feels good, to put a hand on your throat and just take a few moments to notice your relationship to your voice right now. And I know for myself, like even in this moment, right, when these things rise in my throat, there's so many connections to our voice. And as we activate through song, it's not to sound beautiful. Like I'm not somebody who was like, I'm going to be a singer. It's just somehow what happened in my way of trying to be an instrument. And I'm going to invite us to just sound a couple of times, whatever sound you want to make, just see what happens when you start to use your voice. So for me, I'm just going to make an ah sound. You can follow me, but just notice. So let's take a deep breath out and in. Let's do one more. Just notice what happens or doesn't happen. Okay. And our heart and our voice are very connected as well, of course. And I offer this song as also an invitation to allow your heart to soften a little bit in this moment, if possible. Again, offering a tenderness to that brokenheartedness that really truly is proof of our humanity. It's what we're here to tend. And especially in this time where I feel that constriction that Mirabai was talking about, it's like, how can I love more? How can I keep my heart open in hell? What does love have to say in this moment? And how can I breathe into that? I'm going to sing it through a few times, and it's very simple. So just join in as you feel inspired. Help me open my heart so I can hold all that I need to hold. Help me open my heart so I can hold all that I need to hold. Help me open my heart so I can hold all that I need to hold. Help me open my heart so I can hold all that I need to hold. Help me open my heart so I can hold all that I need to hold. Help me open my heart so I can hold all that I need to hold. Help me open my heart so I can hold all that I need to hold. Help me open my heart so I can hold all that I need to hold. Help me open my heart so I can hold all that I need to hold. Feel. And maybe you place a hand over your heart. And we're going to swap it out for feel now. Help me open my heart so I can feel all that I need to feel. Help me open my heart so I can feel all that I need to feel. Help me open my heart so I can feel all that I need to feel. No, help me open my heart so I can know all that I need to know. Help me open my heart so I can know all that I need to know. Help me open my heart so I can know all that I need to know. Heal. Help me open my heart so I can heal all that I need that I need to heal. Help me open my heart so I can heal all that I need to heal. No, help me open my heart so I can hold all that I need to hold. Just taking a couple of deep breaths. Noticing whatever arose, just being with it, with your tender, loving attention. Thank you. And now Mirabai will lead us in one of the most amazing practices of writing.
Thank you, Willow. Beautiful. All right, you all, you're probably starting to really become saturated with the beautiful waters of the heart right now. So stay in it, swim in it. I'm going to begin this practice by reading you a poem by our friend Naomi Shihab Nye, a Palestinian American poet. And the way this practice is going to work is, many of you have done this with us before, but some of you are new to this practice. So have your writing implements there, and I'm going to read you a poem, and then I'm going to give you a prompt. I'm going to ring the bell and time you for 5 minutes. You don't have to keep track of time, I'll do it. And during that 5-minute period, I invite you to just write your heart out. Whatever arises, let it flow onto the page. Whether you're using paper or an electronic device, that's the page. And you are not censoring yourself. This is a moment where you get to tell yourself the truth. And may you be amazed by what your true self, your heart mind, has to say when given absolute radical permission to be authentic. So don't try to sound pretty. Don't worry about what anybody else will think. This is about you accessing the voice that lies beneath the layers of surface thoughts. This poem is called Those Whom We Do Not Know by Naomi Shihab Nye. Begins with a quote by Pablo Neruda. To feel the love of people whom we love is a fire that feeds our life. But to feel the affection that comes from those whom we do not know is something still greater and more beautiful. 1. Because our country has entered into war, we can have no pleasant pauses anymore. Instead, the nervous turning one side to another, each corner crowded by the far but utterly particular voices of the dead, of trees, fish, children, calling, calling. Wearing the colorful plastic shoes so beloved in the Middle East, bleeding from the skull, the sweet hollow along the neck. I forget why. It's been changed. For whatever it was, we will crush the vendor who stacked sesame rings on a tray inside the steady gaze of stones. He will lose his balance after years of perfect balance. Catch him inside every sleep. He keeps falling. 2. I support all people on earth who have bodies like and unlike my body, skins and moles and old scars, secret and public hair, crooked toes. I support those who have done nothing large, sifter of lentils, sifter of wisdoms. Speak. If we have killed no one, In the name of anything bad or good, may light feed our leafiest veins. I support clothes in the wash kettle, a woman stirring and stirring with stick, paddle, soaking out grime, simple clothes the size of bodies, pinned to the sky. 3. What we learned left us, none of it held. Now the words ignite, slogans knot around necks till faces bulge. Windows of sand, doorways, sense of shifting each time you blink. That dune used to be a house, and the desert soaking up echoes. Those whom we did not know think they know us now. So your writing prompt is, what breaks my heart? What breaks my heart? 5 minutes, go, write without stopping. Sorry, go. So if you haven't already done so, please stop writing. And Willow's going to give us the next step of this practice, I think.
Yes. So once you're finished writing, we're going to ask you to choose one line from your writing and enter it into the chat. So we'll be opening it for this practice so that you can be witnessed and witness each other in drawing out one line from your writing. So take a few moments. We're opening the chat now. Mirabai, do you want to say anything as people are composing that line?
It would also be wonderful if you could find somebody to read your whole piece to in your world, someone you trust to just hear whatever arises, and ask them to please not comment on it and get into either a critical artistic discussion or a political argument, just to bear witness to your writing. If you can find someone today or tomorrow to do that with, that would be wonderful.
Thank you. So I'm going to read out. I'm not going to be able to read all of them, but I'm going to read as many as I can in a couple minutes here and just let them wash over you, receive them. So what breaks my heart? Trust the darkness, the mother rocking her child, this world and our inability to accept each other. Peace is the only answer. The insecurity and hurt behind all the power. Hate. My own incapacity to connect to love. Children are suffering alone without family. The land cries out, but who is hearing? So far advanced, yet so uncivilized. My heart is not broken, it is dead black coal. Do you blame the hurricane? For all that I see, beauty breathless and bright, ugliness ripping apart the seams. Everyone's safety is another's misery. Helpers helpless to help. People caught in the crossfire. Mothers who cannot protect their children. My pain is insignificant again. The humanity of this world is fleeting. Rock-filled rivers loosened by our love. Suffering without meaning. Crushing pain of hopelessness. Innocent children who are indoctrinated into hate. Children trembling with the sound of bombs. Helpless animals and ruthless raping of the earth. We don't listen to each other. The little Palestinian and Israeli eyes, they are the same as mine. My heart feels like a war zone sometimes. Cruelty to other beings. My own selfishness. I am still broken over this. I'm going to read a few more. There's a lot, and I also invite you to read through the chat if you're here live. In my heart, I say ceasefire. Can't I say it out loud without hurting my Jewish friends? Do they know the waters are sacred, the children innocent, and the trees alive? The anger focused on innocent people. Why is it that the older I get, the more my heart breaks? The wailing of mothers, the dead children and babies. Oh, my friends, this is really deep, and I feel it as I'm reading through, and I'm so grateful to hear even just a line of each of your writings in the chat. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you, everyone. We're with you. We are so with you. I'm going to give you another poem and another prompt. So we're doing 2 writing practices today that are linked. Ready? Okay, this is a poem by our beloved friend who died a few years ago, Elaine Sutton, died of cancer, a beautiful Jewish Sufi beloved of ours, and a great poet. And this is called After a Sleepless Night Worrying About the World. After a sleepless night worrying about the world, I stand in the whispering grass, watching the mountains crouch under the burden of sky. The morning sun glides above the peaks, and the field is suddenly flooded with turquoise light. A flock of redwings rise. They turn together like a page of poetry. I read between the lines, realize I am lonely and afraid. I worry about the wars, the weather, the end of our beautiful broken world. I see the way we can harden our hearts when fear is what moves us. Now the marsh hawk cruises the yellow reeds. She dives swiftly, and some soft-furred creature's life is over. For each of us, hauling our basket of dreams, it is only one breath that divides this world and the next. What is there to do but give thanks, offer praise and gratitude for the sweetnesses we're allotted, fling open our burning hearts and help each other. By Elaine Sutton, from a book called A Reckless Insistence on Beauty. A Reckless Insistence on Beauty. So friends, I'm going to give you another prompt. I'm going to ring the bell and time you for 5 minutes, and then ring the bell to end, and Willow will be inviting you to the next part of this practice. For now, please drop into your wild heart and allow whatever arises to spill onto the page. This is a place where you get to tell the truth, your truth, in this moment. Be willing to surprise yourself. The prompt is, I dare to believe. I dare to believe. 5 minutes, go. Thank you. Thank you for writing your heart out. Willow?
Thank you, Mirabai. So just like in the last prompt, we'll ask you to select one line to share in the chat. We'll open that now. And we'll wait for a couple breaths. Mirabai, do you have anything to offer in that time?
That these 2 prompts that we've given you today, you can come back to again and again. In fact, we really recommend that you do so. Maybe even as a practice during this particularly fraught time, maybe every day, every other day, a minute, 2 minutes, but return to it and allow it to season and change you.
Yeah.
To change with you.
Okay, I'm going to read out a number of these for a couple minutes. I dare to believe that the holy permeates everything, healing for all beings. Your face is mine and our bodies are a sacred place. I dare to believe in hope, that I can connect to the divine right here inside my inner temple, and I must not always look for signs outside. Laughing together again, that I am in love, that even this moment together with strangers has already changed our world. In love, in miracles, in nature, in my body, that goodness exists, and that my smallest kindness to a stranger is making a difference, that God hears a mother's prayers, under the noise, the silence, that the mind cannot know peace, but the heart can. We know that we are one and connected in so many ways. I dare to believe in hope, joy, and peace can be had by all. That one kindness is stronger than a nuclear blast, where the energy of anger and frustration can be released and acknowledged in a healthy way. That love can create change. I believe we can embrace each other in caring and love. I'm going to read a few more. I dare to believe that goodness can prevail. I dare to believe in the ordinary to be transformed from fear to faith. I dare to believe this world is a place we share. Thank you all. There's a lot in here to read through, and I will continue to do so. And I appreciate you sharing with us. Mirabai, do you have any words?
You all are giving me such hope right now. I mean, don't for a second believe that Willow and I and Monica, Denise, and Rosa are coming to you with any kind of collected heart that has everything all tucked away. It's we're on fire along with you, and it's deeply moving to feel the collective wisdom gathering in this moment. Thank you.
Yeah. And especially with this second prompt, Mirabai and I had this conversation about how do we bring the creativity to the moment? Like, what do we dare to believe? It can feel, the hopelessness can feel so, helplessness can feel so overwhelming. And how can we use our creativity to also ignite this moment and reach for the hope that is there? So thank you so much for that.
What another song.
Yeah. How about it? So this is a song by our friend T. Martin. And the words are, may this body be a bridge for the healing of this land. May the river flow through us, cleansing greed from our hands. We are made from the land. We are born from the water. We are born from the water. We are made from the land. Teach us, O great mother, to bring peace to this land. And T is a wonderful song, what do I say? Catcher, creator, all of the things. And highly recommend checking out their music. And I also created a Spotify playlist because I know that not everyone is a singer, but like for me, I made this playlist and I've been playing it in my car, in my shower, you know, like in some of us, many of us are actually more comfortable singing in the shower than anywhere else. But I invite you to let these songs continue to keep you company during this time as well. And yeah, I'm offering this song, you know, T shares that this first line and the title of the song, May This Body Be a Bridge, they're actually words from T's friend who grew up in Palestine, who spoke these words as they were traveling to Standing Rock to stand up for the water, and just seeing the parallels of the military presence there, in ways that it is happening and has happened for so long in Palestine and in Israel. And I offer this song as a practice of embodying that, like what Mirabai said, quoting St. Francis of Assisi, Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. May this body be a bridge. May we allow ourselves to be transformed enough by love to truly show up as that instrument of peace. That we pray with our voice and our feet in all of the ways we know how. So there's a lot of words to this. I'm going to sing it all the way through once, and then I'll do a couple call and response, and I'll use my hand to like, I'll sing it this time, now sing it back to me so that you can practice. And we'll mostly stay on that main line. And again, I encourage you to pick it up later and continue to spend some time with this song. And thank you to T for catching it. May this body be a bridge for the healing of this land. May the river flow through us, cleansing greed from our hands. We are born from the water. We are made from the land. Teach us, oh great mother, to bring peace to this land. May this body be a bridge for the healing of this land. Try that. May this body be a bridge for the healing of this land. May the river flow through us, cleansing greed from our hands. Try that. May the river flow through us, cleansing greed from our hands. Let's just keep singing that part. We'll sing it 3 times all the way through that first part. And see if, again, like maybe you want to place a hand on your body, feeling this body as a bridge, an instrument of peace truly in the world. Something I try to remind myself of every single morning. Feeling that, the truth of that, in this physical form, this instrument. May this body be a bridge for the healing of this land. May the river flow through us, cleansing greed from our hands. May this body be a bridge for the healing of this land. May the river flow through us, cleansing greed from our hands. One more time. May this body be a bridge for the healing of this land. May the river flow through us, cleansing greed from our hands. Just taking a moment, a breath to notice anything that's here. Feeling your body as a bridge, as an instrument, capable of so much love and so much peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Willow.
So we are now at the time for Q&R, and we're going to open the Q&A box, it's called in Zoom. And you'll see it down at the bottom, kind of the left corner of your screen. There'll be a little Q&A box, and click on that. And if there's anything you'd like us to speak to, Mirabai, I love how you say it's not question and answer, it's question and response. We don't claim to have these answers, but would love to hear your voices in that Q&A box. If there's anything you'd like us to speak to for a few minutes here. Mirabai, do you want to share anything as we wait for those to come in?
Maybe simply that because of the number of people who are gathered here, we can't open the mics for you to speak. So this is as close as we can get to making this a communal voice. And just know that Willow and I will both be responding depending on the question, one or the other of us probably, and that our voice is your voice. It's all one voice. And the other thing is to please distill your question as much as you possibly can to its essence.
Yeah. Okay, there's some coming into the Q&A box. A couple of logistical questions. I will absolutely share the playlist, and we have a lot of resources coming your way. More on that when we close. So Mirabai, I see two questions that feel related, and I'm going to read both of them, and then we can see what comes of them. So LaCroix asks, how can we deal with the feeling of powerlessness? And Melody asks, in how many ways can we rise above the hopelessness and helplessness many of us feel about the war?
Beautiful. First of all, I just want to acknowledge how painful that is for you, as it is for so many of us, that feeling of how can my one little body and one little voice make a difference in a conflict that is as old as humans have lived in that desert land of the Holy Land, and also in Ukraine and Russia. That's continuing to happen, and in various parts of Africa and South America, there are horrific atrocities unfolding in this very moment, mostly perpetrated by one group of people who has power upon a people who does not. The power differential, always seeming to be connected to money and stuff, is driving these fire zones all over the world. What can we do? I dare to believe that beauty will save the world. That doesn't mean everything has to be pretty. Beauty is sometimes wild and scary and even ugly, to not contradict myself, this is a paradox. The arts, the creative arts, writing, visual art, theater, music, all of these ways that the human heart expresses itself in solitude and in community are weaving a net of belonging. And that is where the whole world can take refuge, where there is no otherizing, where that makes no sense and doesn't exist. Even when we're ferociously speaking out on behalf of a people that is being oppressed and persecuted and killed and violated and ravaged, there's still no other in our wild creative hearts. And to keep cultivating some kind of contemplative center, whether it's a few minutes of silent meditation every day, spending time in nature, to be resourced from Mother Earth, and to remember that you belong to her. Oh, there are so many spiritual practices from all the world's traditions that if we approach them with respect from the cultures from which for the cultures from which they arise, can be a wellspring of energy and solace and guidance. Willow, I said we'd alternate with these questions, but maybe you can weigh in for a moment on what do you do to not collapse into helplessness and despair, or even if you do, where do you go from there?
I have notes for myself to speak to that before we close today, and I think, for me, it's the practices we're offering. It's writing. It's using my voice enough to recognize what it is that needs to be expressed, and then taking tangible action in that way. I think it's so easy to be captivated by the myth of helplessness, and also there's so much we can do that that does involve spreading love and through really tangible action, especially in this moment. I mean, it's so easy. It's so easy to feel helpless, and we do have power. We all do have power. It's not the scale that we see right now, and also the unification has so much power. I might speak more to that before we close too, but it's a really important question. And I'm trying to sort through all of these. There's a lot. Because there was also a question around grief feeling immobilizing. And it's an anonymous question, but knowing that it's good to move or talk to somebody or write, but sometimes there's a feeling of being immobilized. Can this be an invitation to stillness, or is something I need to fight so I don't fall into depression? And there's so much, Mirabai and I have created this grief community where there are so many nuanced experiences of grief. And I think, Mirabai, I would love to hear what you have to say about this immobilizing part too, because my hope in this gathering also is that we're able to be with it. That's a state of freeze often as well. And it's important to tend to that as well, to let it move. Do you want to say about immobilization?
Yeah, I was going to say that too. Our Holy Lament community is really dedicated to the spiritual truth of the grieving process, that it's not a pathological condition to be fixed and overcome and gotten over, but rather a sacred space to be fully inhabited. And so, yes, the amygdala, the reptile brain, forgive me, those of you who are more schooled in brain science than I am, is designed to fight, flight, flee, or freeze. But there's also wisdom in our body's instinctive response to catastrophic, shattering loss. And stillness is actually one of those wise responses that we have access to. In fact, in the midst of the cacophony of voices and a lot of people making sense from all directions that seem to be contradicting each other, a really wise practice is to just pause and breathe. So it's like writer's block. I'm a writer, so this is what I'm thinking of. Sometimes I'm writing. I'm on deadline, right? So I have to get something done, and I hit a wall. I just can't seem to find my way. I feel overwhelmed. I feel paralyzed and exhausted. And if I stop in that moment and go make a cup of tea and take a walk, everything changes. It's why Shabbat in the Jewish tradition is not just a polite suggestion by the Holy One, but rather a commandment, because it's really hard to feel like it's okay, because we're so programmed to do and exert our will upon the world. And so there are lots of opportunities for small Sabbaths throughout each day. And in the face of tremendous suffering, it's not only okay, but I think really important to just pause. And if you're feeling immobilized, there's something in that. Just breathe through it. It will move. I believe it'll move.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really good questions in here. I want to bring Tasia's forward as well, because it feels related to what we were just talking about. And it says, I feel like my anger is holy. I don't want to lose my sense of outrage. I feel like there's always this sense that we must find peace. I reject that, and I'm honestly appalled at the silence of the spiritual community, or lack of a better word. I want to know your thoughts. And Mirabai, do you want to speak first, or should I?
Oh, you speak, because I know you share that horror.
Yes. And I'm really glad that you brought this forward. And I think the first thing that came up for me was, when we're doing all this grief work, one of the thresholds we talk about is outrage. And when we were really focusing on that outrage, I'm like, outrage is holy too. Like our grief takes many forms and many shapes. And one of that is a protective rage that rises, and that makes sense. And I think it's like taking direction from that anger and that rage that rises, of how to create meaningful change that I feel. And I also feel that in the spiritual community, there's a lot of silence around it, and a lot of not knowing how to respond. And I feel rage about that, and also trying to even find my own voice in it, exactly how to speak to the complexity, and also the sheer clarity of the horror that's happening. But I would say your anger is holy too. And how do we vision that? What is the world we want to live in? What's possible? And how do we channel that anger into something that's going to create our vision of what's possible? What would you say, Mirabai?
Yeah, and just to have compassion for those who don't know what the fuck to say right now. I mean, so many of my friends and connections in the spiritual arena are desperately trying to find the right offering for this moment that doesn't create more harm. They're scared too. And so just to have compassion for some of those folks, knowing that their hearts are good and they're working on it. This is what I'm seeing behind the scenes. I'm not trying to apologize for them, but to just not assume that they don't give a shit, because everyone I know is in anguish about what's happening, and trying to not spiritually bypass it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Excuse my language. That's my holy outrage showing.
I think it's important we use the language of spiritual bypass when we see it. Mimi says, and this is a question I've seen in a couple of different forms here. So, how do we advocate for a ceasefire without angering our Jewish friends that feel that doing that is equivalent to calling for their annihilation?
Oh, friends, this is such a potent question. As a Jewish person, I have been wrestling with it, with the language of genocide. When my grandparents' people were absolutely targeted for extermination, and I grew up under the shadow of that, of that reality of the Holocaust, and the fear that there is no safe place in this world. And it is also, as I said in the beginning, woven into the Jewish ethic and spiritual reality that we must speak for there is no other, that oppression of anyone is oppression of everyone, that saving one life saves the world. And so there are ways to speak out now that are rooted in the humanity of all beings and the well-being of everyone, and a recognition with true lived compassion that everyone's pain deserves to be witnessed with love. And so as you speak out, acknowledging the pain of the Jewish people is a simple and beautiful thing to do. I feel so much better as someone who spent decades standing for Palestinian rights and will continue to speak out now more than ever. It's a little bit of compassion toward the suffering and the pain of the Jewish people goes a long way to energizing me to step up on behalf of all beings, particularly the Palestinians right now, as I have always done. So yeah, there's a beautiful interview with Sharon Brous, she's a rabbi who's been speaking out very strongly and eloquently from the day after October 7th, and who, like me, is allowing herself to shift and change according to the realities in real time. But it's an interview she did with Ezra Klein on the Ezra Klein show that so beautifully describes the Jewish ethic of care and compassion and justice, and the need for our pain to be witnessed but not excused for 1 second the violence being perpetrated in our name.
Thank you, Mirabai.
Thank you.
I think you very beautifully articulated that. And I think, yeah, for me, leading with love and the compassion in all of the ways as I too ask for ceasefire. We have so many in there. Let's do one more. And I'm going to read one aloud that feels also connected. Oh no, where is it? Woo, there's a lot in here, y'all. Okay. Lynn says, how can we keep our hearts open and stay informed without closing, judging, and becoming fear-based? And I think that's a really beautiful connection to Jane's question. Any spiritual practice suggestions for praying for enemies? We are all connected, even to those whose violence and revenge we are experiencing. Do you want to have a go at that one first, Mirabai?
Do you have something bubbling up, Willow? If you do, go for it.
I'm going to take a minute and take a sip of water as I read through all of those, and then I will respond as soon as you're finished.
Okay, a couple of things. One is, and I'm trying to speak fast because I know we're running out of time.
No.
Okay, good. There are so many beautiful things happening in the world right now that are bringing people together, most of them online. And the Abrahamic reunion is one. We're actually going to, I'm going to stop because I don't want to leave anybody out. We're going to send you a list of resources that includes a lot of communities that are bringing people together right now in both action and prayer. And, as we believe prayer is part of action. And so just take heart, my loves, that there are incredibly beautiful gatherings right now that are helping us to do that. Then there are all kinds of practices. My lifelong teacher and friend and mentor, Ram Dass, always kept pictures of like the latest right-wing despots on his puja table, his altar, his puja table, his altar. Back in the day, it was George Bush, but whoever it may be, and just tried to include him with love every day as he made homage to his guru, for instance. The metta practice in Buddhism, this is from the Theravadan tradition, the monastic tradition of Buddhism. Metta practice is loving kindness practice. So I just encourage you to Google it. There are lots of great websites that walk you through metta practice. I think in several of my books outline metta practice, but it's sending prayers of loving kindness. Loving kindness. Metta is the Pali word, the language of the Buddha. The Pali word for loving kindness. In Hebrew, it's chesed, loving kindness. And this is a very specific set of visualizations that help just collect your heart energy and direct it toward dissolving otherness.
Beautiful, Mirabai. And I would say love. I would say whatever practices for me bring me closer to love, I'm cranking them up, because I think, yeah, this question also about the division that we feel in relationships and the polarity we feel in the world. And it's like, to me, every time that comes up and that constriction happens, how can I bring love to that situation? And again, love is not always fluffy. It's not always sweet and delicious. It's fierce sometimes too. And I think, I really believe that that's the only way through.
Me too.
So I think each of us knows what that is better than anyone else can.
And find your people, collect. You know, the Buddha also said that of the three jewels of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, the teacher, the teachings, and the collection of practitioners, the most important one is the Sangha, the collection of beings on the path to waking up and stepping up.
Yeah. Thank you, Mirabai. Any other words before we move into a little ceremony?
Find each other, trust each other, dare to trust each other, and don't try to weather this alone. Your grief is holy and you belong to each other. We belong to each other.
Your grief is holy. We belong to each other. And we're so grateful that you've come together with us in this way. Yeah, like Mirabai said, we're not meant to weather this alone. We can't. And on that note, I'm going to invite us into a closing ceremony with the objects that we've brought. And this is something I often do, I have to do, is that I call on the earth and the elements to hold everything with me, because we can't hold it alone. And the earth and the elements can hold everything. It's what we're made of, what everything is made of. So I invite you to just take a little stretch, take a little movement. Whew. Whatever that looks like. Maybe get a drink of water. Just adjust yourself for a minute. Whew. Take some deep breaths. Whew. And I'm going to invite us into a couple of mindful moments with each of the elements and the objects that we have gathered with us. And I will also invite us into the elemental breaths of Pir Murshid Hazrat Inayat Khan, Sufi master that I spoke of at the beginning, who, again, he has such a deep connection to the mystical heart of Islam, the Sufi path. And this is a practice he shares widely. He's no longer living, by the way. I talk about him like he is, but the elemental breaths to bring each of the elements into the body. So I'm also going to invite you to do that if it feels good. If it doesn't, just leave it. So let's begin with the element of earth. And whatever object you have to remind you of the element of earth, I encourage you to hold it, to lay a hand on it, and breathe with the element of earth. Feel the ground underneath you. If you want to welcome the breath of earth, it's simply in and out through the nose. Asking for the solidity, the sustaining energy of the earth that is always there to hold you and hold everything that you cannot hold alone. To feel that sustenance, that steadiness, that stability, that strength, fortification, to help bolster you, help you feel held. And feel that earth element in your own body, in your bones, in your flesh. You are made of the earth. There's no reaching for it, it's already in you. And then we'll go to the element of water. If you have some water there, I encourage you to take a little bit on your hands and even bring it onto your face somewhere, maybe your heart. And the breath of water is in through the nose and out through the mouth if you wish to practice that. And asking the water to help us, wash us. You know, it's that feeling after we've taken a shower. It feels so good. It's that refreshing nature, that ability of water to wash through us, to allow us to flow through the places that feel stuck, that water can move around the things that feel stuck. It's our life force too. And then let's go to fire. The breath of fire is in through the mouth, out through the nose. And maybe you just bring a hand near the flame and feel that heat. If you don't have a flame, maybe you put it on your body, because also we have fire in our bodies. This heat that is constantly driving life, that we are also energized and inspired and ignited toward love. That we feel that force of love burning inside of us and all around us. That force that drives us to protect all life. And then air. And maybe you just feel the air. Maybe you have an object that reminds you of the air. The breath of air is in and out through the mouth. And just take a few moments here to feel the air. This air that we share with every other being that's living, that's ever lived. That we may feel the support of this life force that's always moving through us, our breath. That we may breathe deep, especially in times of deep grief. And we can come back and find a comfortable seat and just feel all of those elements in your body. The fleshy, bony parts of your body, the water, the blood moving through your body, the heat ignited in your body, the breath animating your body. All here, all together. The earth can hold everything. I really believe that. We just have a couple minutes left, and before we leave, I want to say a couple of words with Mirabai about what we're offering as we go forward, and to say that we've compiled a list of resources for you as a care package, which was Monica Denise's idea. Thank you, Monica. And these are more practices that, again, help us resource ourselves so that we can show up to the moment. Mirabai, do you want to say anything about what you're offering in that?
So I've given you a couple of writing prompts. I used a couple of passages, familiar passages from sacred scriptures. I mostly use poetry. To me, poetry is the most sacred of all texts. And but in this case, I drew upon the Judeo-Christian Islamic traditions to give you a couple of readings and prompts. Yeah, so that's, and I think some links to some readings that have been helpful to me.
And a meditation.
Oh, right.
And I'm offering a couple of meditations as well for resourcing and for visioning. And we'll be sharing the songs with you as well. And there is also a section on that page for action. You know, this is a place where we are freely offering this, and also invite you to step into meaningful action. You know, this sense of helplessness that we were talking about. We do have power. And there are so many people around this world right now on the streets, calling for peace, stepping up, speaking out. And as we grieve and hold all of the generational trauma that is alive right now, we also get to speak out. And I invite you into that practice with me. It's part of my daily practice right now to call my representatives to demand a ceasefire, to demand and have those conversations with love, to bring forth a true recognition of each and every life, each and every soul's humanity, the equal value of that in every single body. So pray with our feet, standing up against hate everywhere we see it. I want to make sure that we also speak to caring for yourself after this. Whatever's opened for you in this time together, we encourage you to resource yourself again and again. And again, we all know what that looks like for ourselves better than anybody else could. But for me, I pray as much as I can. I go outside, I walk, I look at the sky, I drink water, I hug my friends, I cry, I write. Whatever it is for you, may that nourish you. Mirabai, do you want to say anything about that before I officially close us?
You deserve to be tended. You're grieving. That's powerful and difficult work. And don't belittle yourself for having feelings of overwhelming pain, and don't neglect to tend yourself with the love and care with which you would tend a child that you love. And then you get back on with the invitation to be an instrument of living peace in this world.
Yes. Voice of love and peace to protect all life. And we also want to invite you, we're going to be doing another free offering in December, grieving through the holiday season. So if this grief is still rising, bubbling in you, which I imagine it will be, we invite you to come do a similar thing to this, but 4 days in a row. And it's also including our personal grief during this time that can be so fraught for so many of us. Thank you for being here, for bringing your broken open heart and trusting us to hold it with you all together. Any closing words, Mirabai?
Just thank you, Willow and Monica, Denise, and Rosa for just immediately, spontaneously pulling this together, knowing that it's not much, but it's something that we can offer. And if everyone does what we can, then the whole axis of the world is going to shift.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. Take good care of yourselves. Hope to see you soon. Thank you, Mirabai. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Rosa. We'll play a song and then we'll say goodbye. So.
Meditation, De La Soul on the rotation, put the freedom on the stations. We are forming a new nation based on justice and forgiveness and rehabilitation. They addicted to the money and they public reputation, but if you decide to share, you can join the conversation. How in practice we gon' get these reparations? It gon' take patience, but the prophecy is ancient. Cause every breath you take is a holy invitation.
Free your spirit, free your mind one time. Free the people, free the music from them dollar signs. Free our family up in Palestine. Let's keep it rockin' hip-hop, wisdom and knowledge. Nah, they'll never stop. Seeing love in the eyes of a soldier, seeking a bolder action and holding a rifle, roses tucked in a holster. Cause they know that the war on the people, vicious and evil, ain't the vision we seeking. And within them, they hear the people speaking. Black liberation is wide, liberation so fight for liberation tonight. Liberation is here, liberation is now. Liberation is the life that I'm about. Come on. My liberation is your liberation, and your liberation is my liberation. So let me hear the people say, let's get free, let's get free, let's get free.
Liberation is moving through immigration to do what you want to do and improve on a new nation. And liberation is going from cotton picking to speaking truth in opposition to politicians. To liberate is to ruminate on who's trying to hate on your truest failing. This position isn't one of hate, it's the one that makes you see divisions put in place that you want to break.
Quit liberation is straight. Liberation, 'cause there ain't no space for hate. And liberation is fake. And we building the way.
We building up.
Fist up if you're ready to say it
In the streets.
My liberation is your liberation, and your liberation is my liberation. So let me hear the people say, let's get free, let's get free.
I seen vets against the war getting wet in the rain, marching with the students so tuition don't change. And when black men are gunned down by police, I seen farmers stand up with their fam in the streets. Immigrants and old folk marching for the same goal. Something in the soul, no, we are never solo. In the halls of power, breaking down these doors. Forget an invitation, we built these floors.
My liberation is your liberation, and your liberation is my liberation. So let me hear the people say, let's get free, let's get free.
So let's get free, get free. No xenophobia, none of my
Thank you all so much. Hope to see you soon. Take good care of yourselves.